The competitive intelligence report is going to be real important for whoever in your company does the competitive analysis and tries to figure out both what we should be forecasting for next year, and also this is a very important information on why I did as I did from the positioning marketing side. So I start off with this is the North America results. I'm company A. And I look down here and I say market share. I picked up quite a bit of market share in the internet, obviously, with four companies starting equally. Everybody started with 25%. So I go up here and I look and I say, well, my price was same as three of the four, but my shoe was 2 stars better than the person at $70 and was better than here, same price where their shoe is better, but I have more models. And again, do not underestimate the power of models. I was the only one offering free shipping, which is the equivalent of about a $3 price break. And so, it makes sense that I picked up a lot of market share. Come down into the wholesale segment, and I see that I lost a little bit of market share, but very importantly, this yellow highlight and this negative number means I ran out of shoes. And it's just exactly what I expected when I said I hit my forecast exactly. I must have sold everything I made, and probably I could have sold more than I made. So what this is saying is based on the demand, there were 683,000 people that came into the store looking to buy my shoe and ended up walking out with my competitor's shoes because they still had shoes to sell. So they sold extra shoes beyond their demand. If you will, this is what the computer calculates. It apportions demand based on the competitive factors that you see up here. And then it simply goes in and says, well, do you have the shoes? What price did you charge? Blah, blah, blah. But this is the art, if you will, of the computer simulation. And so I say, well, clearly my demand was the highest of anyone in the industry. You can see I had demand of almost 1.9 million. The next closest was 1.4 million. Well, that makes sense. I had the price was $1.99 more than the 5-star shoe, and I had a lot more models available. So just looking at those three factors, I can see where I got what I got. Not that this stuff isn't important, but these are the most powerful drivers. And to the extent that there's a noticeable difference between them, this stuff down here isn't going to be as impactful. You can see for poor Team D, even though they spent a lot more in marketing and had right at the industry average in models, they tried to get too much money for their shoe at $60 a shoe, and they really cut their demand. So I go through this segment by segment. I'm not going to go through the subsequent ones in as much detail, except to point out a few errors. This understanding what happened here is critical to figuring out how to run your company. This is the positioning side of the war. If I get down into private label, I see that I sold everything I bid. I wasn't the lowest bidder. That's good. And you can see over here that we didn't quite meet demand. So there was more demand to be had. So I noticed in this, I could have bid up to $46.50, and I would have still sold just as many shoes. So you can see I would have tacked on a nice, more healthy profit. But because it always apportions based on price, this is something where it's always very strategic as to how high you want to bid and how badly you need your bids to be accepted. The bottom part of the screen is the strategic group map. I find this interesting from the standpoint of showing you what was offered and who has the market share. These strengths and weaknesses I recommend you pay virtually no attention to, because it's simply going to say where were you above the industry average and where were you below the industry average. You may be intentionally below the industry average in those areas, and so they're not truly a weakness. We can look through all four of the regions. The picture in Europe, Africa is basically the same. You can see that I pulled in a little bit more of the private label share, but only because they sold less shoes. They go, well, why did Team D offer 185,000 shoes that weren't sold given that demand was not met? Well, here's the answer. They said our minimum star rating is a 4-star, and they only offered us three-star shoe. And I bet Team D would say, no, 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 we did, we did, we did. But something happened in the manufacturing process. They might have not, over the course of a year where these dropped down to a 3-star shoe. We're going to see some other issues that they may have goofed up, but this may have been where they were cutting it a little too tightly on how much they could pull out of TQM. So same story. I had dramatically too few shoes, and these people ate my leftovers. Gets a little bit different in Asia Pacific. You can see, look at Team D. They had even more lost sales than we had, but you can see how many they sold. None. They have a major logistical hiccup. They forgot to ship shoes to the region. They produced them, they just didn't ship them to the region. That's how we know, because we know that they're sitting in inventory. We saw that in one of the earlier slides. And the same thing here, they made the mistake of only bidding for 3 stars. You can see in this particular region, I wasn't as noticeably strongly competitive in terms of the demand that I earned and the extent to which I ran out of shoes. Latin America, same picture. They completely forgot to ship shoes. C sold out of shoes. And so part of this, I walk away and I go, Team B did really, really well, but they more feasted off my mistakes and D's mistake. Had D not made the mistake it did, had I not made the mistake I did, frankly, their results wouldn't have been nearly as good. So I walk out of this going, yeah, you won round 1, but you didn't earn it. I kind of handed it to you. I'm not going to let that happen again. So these are the key questions I come through with the competitive intelligence report. I kind of breezed over these, but these are important, and I will obviously compare all of these to see why the demand was it was. In the final video, then we are going to talk about specifically what was happening on the value chain side of my company and whether I was managing that well, looking at our specific profits and loss. Join me for that.